Sebastian Vettel's Formula One career has ended, at least for the time being, following the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix last weekend. The 35-year-old leaves F1 as the sole owner of 11 World Championship records. There's also a record that the four-time world champion still holds that could be more desirable. What do we know about them? What are these standing records? What about the loss? Let's find out. To begin, Vettel's standing records. Vettel became the world champion for the first time in the 2010 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix when he was only 23 years and 134 days old. With his subsequent 3 titles, he broke the record for the youngest driver to be a double, triple, and 4-time F1 champion. At 21 years and 353 days, Vettel became the youngest driver to win, pole, and set the fastest lap at the British Grand Prix as a Red Bull driver the following year. The fact that Vettel led 739 laps out of 1,133 demonstrates his dominance in 2011. To put that in context, even though there were 3 more races this season, Max Verstappen led 616 laps. Vettel won 9 consecutive races in 2013, breaking a record set in 1953. The Red Bull driver broke the record by 2 after winning the Belgian, Italian, Singaporean, Korean, Japanese, Indian, Abu Dhabi, United States, and Brazilian Grand Prix. Alberto Ascari started and won 9 consecutive races in 1952 and 1953, but they were not all World Championship rounds. He did not compete in the 1953 Indianapolis 500. The legend didn't stop there. During his second championship season in 2011, he won 15 of 19 races from the pole position. This brought him to level with Nigel Mansell's 1992 record of 9 races won from the pole position. In a memorable, rain-soaked qualifying session at the 2008 Italian Grand Prix, Vettel became the youngest driver in F1 history to claim pole position, putting his Toro Rosso on top. Moving on, Vettel's lost records. Vettel and Schumacher won 13 races in a single season in 2013 and 2004. Despite Mercedes' dominance, this seemed out of reach for a long time, as Hamilton and Nico Rosberg shared many victories between 2014 and 2016. Verstappen was confident he could take a Mercedes-beating car if Red Bull produced one again. He won 14 races last month, including the Mexican Grand Prix, and added a 15th in Abu Dhabi. Because of how long it took, many other records needed to be within reach. Furthermore, Vettel topped the podium 17 times in 2011, matching Schumacher's record from 2002. Verstappen also broke this record in 2021 with 18 Grand Prix podiums. Vettel set the points record at the 2015 Hungarian Grand Prix, though he was tied with Fernando Alonso. He won the championship in the Italian Grand Prix 2 races later, but he only had the record for a short time. Hamilton tied Vettel at the 2016 Canadian Grand Prix, but Vettel reclaimed the record at the European Grand Prix a week later, and it has remained with him ever since. 2 more records were set in 2011, and Hamilton broke them in 2018. Vettel scored 392 points in 2011, and another 5 the following year in his 4th championship season. On his way to his 5th championship, Hamilton improved 9 positions. From the 2010 Brazilian Grand Prix to the Indian Grand Prix the following year, Vettel scored 424 points without a break. Following that, youngest winner, podium finisher, race leader, and points scorer. Verstappen's first Formula One victory at the 2016 Spanish Grand Prix broke 3 of Vettel's records. The first came on lap 11 of the race, when he became the youngest driver to lead a lap, breaking Vettel's previous record of 20 years and 89 days at the 2007 Japanese Grand Prix. When Verstappen crossed the finish line in Barcelona, he broke Vettel's records as F1's youngest podium finisher and winner, both of which he set at the 2008 Italian Grand Prix. Vettel finished 8th for BMW Sauber in his first F1 race, the 2007 United States Grand Prix, becoming the first teenager to score points in F1. Daniil Kvyat broke the record in 2014 by 25 days. He outperformed the second by 0.073 seconds. Verstappen Verstappen set the first practice record 3 days after his 17th birthday at the 2014 Japanese GP, then set the fastest time in a practice session for the first time a month later at the 2015 Mexican GP, a month after turning 18. Vettel holds one record that his rivals will not want to break. He received his first F1 penalty faster than any other driver. Vettel was caught speeding in the pit lane 6 seconds into his F1 career when he made his race weekend debut at Istanbul Park. Following that, youngest to participate in and top a Grand Prix weekend session having unwanted record. When Vettel was 19 years and 53 days old, BMW Sauber gave him a run in 2 practice sessions at the 2006 Turkish GP. He outperformed the second by 0.073 seconds. Verstappen set the first practice record 3 days after his 17th birthday at the 2014 Japanese GP, then set the fastest time in a practice session for the first time a month later at the 2015 Mexican GP, a month after turning 18. Vettel holds one record that rivals will not want to break. He received his first F1 penalty faster than any other driver. Vettel was caught speeding in the pit lane just 6 seconds into his F1 career when he made his race weekend debut at Istanbul Park. Next up, Vettel reveals the biggest natural talent he ever raced against. It wasn't Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, or any of the other drivers on the F1 grid. It wasn't even his hero Michael Schumacher, who he raced against when the German returned to the sport with Mercedes in 2010. Kimi Raikkonen, Ferrari's most recent world champion, was the driver. "I think Kimi is the biggest natural talent I've ever come across," he said on the official F1 website's Beyond the Grid podcast ahead of his final race. "Just in terms of raw speed," he explained, "it shows in the car, obviously, but it also shows in any other type of car. If there were a discipline of switching cars every day, after 10 days, he would be lapping everybody else," he said, "just because he's such a natural. It doesn't take him time to adapt to the car, to what the car requires. If you give him a steering wheel, he knows what to do with it," the German went on. "Sometimes you feel it's unfair. You need to get used to it and get a feel for the track or the conditions. But for him, it's just boom." Moving on, Vettel admits Kimi was a great teammate. Indeed, after leaving F1 at the end of 2009, Raikkonen competed in the World Rally Championship for 2 seasons, appearing in NASCAR's Camping World Truck Series and Nationwide Series, and again this year when he drove at Watkins Glen as part of the Cup Series. The pair were teammates at Ferrari for 4 seasons and always seemed to get along well, with Vettel admitting that the Finn was the best teammate he'd ever had. "I think I had the best relationship with him out of all my teammates because he was just so straightforward," Vettel said. "There was never an argument. If we collided, we talked about it, fixed it, and maybe laughed about it, but there was never any doubt that anything could shake up or destabilize. I don't want to say bond, but rather our relationship. He was probably the one when I first came in. I remember him being so respectful from the moment I walked in, looking me in the eyes. With other drivers, I felt like, okay, I'm shaking hands and saying hello, but the guy's not here. He's not here. Kimi has been exceptional when it comes to people." Finally, Ocon basks in very satisfying season after P7 finish at season-ending Abu Dhabi GP. Esteban Ocon finished 7th in the season-ending Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, capping off a very satisfying year. Ocon started 8th on the grid and maintained his position until the end of lap 12 of 58, when he pitted for the hard tire. He steadily progressed throughout the race, climbing as high as 7th before pitting for another set of hard tires. The French driver then restarted 9th before passing Daniel Ricciardo's McLaren for 8th, before Lewis Hamilton's retirement propelled him to 7th, capping off a successful season for Ocon and Alpine. "Very satisfying. I'm very happy the year ended that way," Ocon said. "We finished 4th in the Constructors. All the goals we set for ourselves are now complete. Thank God. We could have gotten Lando Norris with one more lap. He was falling off on those mediums, but great work by the entire team. I'm proud of how we improved throughout the season and hope to improve even more next year." year. Ocon engaged in a wheel-to-wheel battle with the departing Vettel in the early stages of the race, which the Alpine driver admitted was a lot of pressure as he tried to avoid contact with the four-time world champion. "Yeah, it was a nice little fight with Sebastian. A lot of pressure on myself," Ocon said. "I don't want to be the one who touches him or something on his last race, but it was clean. We gave each other space, and it was a very nice ending." Well, that marks the end of our video for today. On your way out, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.
Leclerc, Carlos Sainz is forced to the outside. Max Verstappen getting keen on the inside with Carlos Sainz, but